Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email for asking questions about the price and availability of this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com, for purchase and pricing details. And today we're discussing a model that was launched at SIHH 2016, 37mm in rose gold. This is the Lange Sohne Saxonia Thin, 37mm by 6.1mm thick. The lug-to-lug dimension is 43.4mm, and this watch is 19mm between the lugs, and it really does live up to its name. An exceptionally thin, wafer-like watch that sits so low on the wrist, it's almost lower than wrist hair. Very comfortable on my 16cm circumference wrist. You can see this down the barrel shot, a good fit over the top, again, nowhere near the edge of my wrist. And once more, the cuff shot showing how compatible this is with any type of tight sleeve or dress shirt cuff. Looking at the hardware and the software, there's a almost burgundy colored, large rectangular scale alligator leather strap with a monotone stitch. You can see it features a folded edge, and it has a semi-gloss finish to it. On the underside, you'll note this is a Lange factory strap in brand new condition. There's calfskin on the underside, gator on the top, and then the Lange pin buckle, which is a thoughtful piece in its own right. You can see the edges are faceted, and then there's a little retaining bar in there. So if you're like me and you have a small wrist, you're going to use the smallest hole or maybe even punch a smaller one. You know that when you cinch down the strap tight on those small wrists, sometimes the pin actually gets pinned, so it's stuck on your wrist and you have to fight. With this little retaining bar, that can never happen. So that's for small wrist fit and ease of extraction. There's also the elevated stanchion. You can see that the prongs of the buckle are actually below the bridge over the top. So the strap sits in the buckle rather than underneath, and that's what this elevated bridge does for you. The case band is classical Lange with the lug stepped out rather dramatically, almost like a pocket watch for your wrist, and that is part of the idea, to celebrate the golden age in the 19th century and early 20th century of Saxon pocket watch manufacture, but it is a wristwatch, and a thin and graceful one at that. So we have a contrasting satin finish in the mid case, then a polished bezel and a polished case back. The bezel has a vertical portion that lines up with the case band, but then it's domed on its top. Rolling around to the crown, you can see it is a Lange Sohne branded, and then the dial. Underneath, a more or less flat sapphire, a very classical profile. You have a dial with a vaulted Lange logo at the top. At the center, you have bright polished 18-karat rose gold alpha style hands, applique rose gold indices, which have been minutely faceted using tiny diamond tipped milling tools, and then the dial is a silver white matte finish over a solid sterling silver dial base. So it's galvanized silver white, but the dial is in fact made of precious metal, sterling silver. Turning the case over, you can see caliber L0931, meaning work on this movement started in 2009. It was the third Lange movement on which work was started that year, and this is 0.1, which is the first revision of the movement. It's a manual wind, 72-hour power reserve, beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It pivots on 21 joules. It is adjusted in 5 positions, which is the high horology standard and also the chronometer standard. You can see that the watch does not feature hacking seconds because it does not have a running seconds display, but it does have one unusual refinement for a Lange watch, and that is that the timepiece in every regard is simply gem-like, in spite of not really having a lot of apparatus. It's not complicated, it's not thick, the movement's not entirely deep, but it's the thinness of this sub 3mm thick movement that makes it exceptional. It proves that the simple ingredients to Lange movement finish and design can create the same scintillating effect as the grand complication. Now, the watch includes mirrored anglage on the edge of the 3/4 bridge, freehand engraved balance cock, a black polished swan's neck regulator, a black polished cap to the escape wheel. On that 3/4 bridge, another nod to the pocket watch era, still another nod to the pocket watch era in jewels set in chaton and fixed in place. Those are golden chaton. They're fixed in place by fired blue screws. We also have polished screws alongside blued screws. This movement has both. Note the solarization of the crown wheel and the ratchet wheel, and the extended black polished click spring and click. That's a pocket watch style click spring with that swan's neck extension, and of course rich and thickly engraved stripes on the bridge laid down by a abrasive wheel with engine turning on the base plate. Take one last look at that gorgeous anglage. Again, not a lot here, but remarkably a 3-day power reserve, and remarkably just as beautiful as any large and complicated Lange timepiece. The bridges are made of nickel copper zinc, which is a golden hued alloy, often known as German silver. All of this is 30 meters water resistant, so it's not a sports watch, but then again, you've got the Odysseus for that. This is for elegance. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.